Serve and serve return. Everything you ever wanted to know about serve and serve return. We're going to start with how to loop deep serves. Now, at the beginner level, it's very important to know what direction the side spin is going. At the intermediate and advanced level, it's kind of obvious, so we're going to talk about the technique. So get low in your ready position. With a very compact stroke, show us what it would look like to loop a deep side spin serve. Move and loop, move and loop, move and loop. Good, excellent. So the reason that you're hitting over the top of the ball is because you feel less effect from the spin. When the spin is rotating like this, and you hit over the top of the ball, you feel less force from the actual spin. As far as the stroke goes, it's a very compact stroke that he's accelerating at contact. Show a few more strokes. Over the top, over the top, over the top, over the top. Excellent. What about deep nose spin, or deep top spin, or deep backspin? Well, a lot of times people get so caught up with how much side spin is on the ball, or is it side spin, top spin, or is it light side spin, or is it straight top spin, that there's too much confusion and there's hesitation on their own stroke. The reality is there's two types of serve return. There's looping deep nose spin, side spin, and top spin, and then looping deep backspin. So show me the technique, the universal technique that you would use for nose spin, side spin, and top spin. It's the exact same he just did. Go ahead. Straight over the top, straight over the top, straight over the top, straight over the top, straight over the top. Now, the best thing about his stroke that I want you to see is that his body is low, his racket is high, and by keeping the racket high, he is able to keep a compact stroke. He's also getting ready for that ball to jump, because if it does have a little bit more top spin, it jumps up. So I see a lot of players at the club, they put their hand down low, and then when the ball comes up, then they hit their edge or they loop out. So watch how he starts his hand high and goes directly over the top of the ball. Good. All right, and that's the same exact type of way that you're going to loop nose spin, side spin, top spin, and straight top spin. The difference is the loop against backspin. So there's two things that I want you to watch in his shadow strokes. The first one is how he waits and lets the ball drop. The second is that his stroke is a little bit longer. Go ahead. And then follows all the way through. Same thing for backhand. Watch how he's letting the ball drop and then lifting. Letting it drop and then lifting. Yeah, so on the deep side spin, nose spin, and top spin, he's really holding his hand high and hitting in front. With the backspin, he's letting the ball drop a little bit more. Now, for some of the world-class players, even on the deep backspin, they play very early timing. But if you're more of the intermediate level, I would definitely let the ball drop a little bit more. Now I want to show you how to serve deep serves. The main factor on the deep serves is that it be very, very, very deep. So you're really looking to hit from your white line here to their white line there. Especially deep serves to the backhand, deep serves to the middle are effective. Why is that? Because the timing is more sensitive on the backhand side. If you surprise them on the forehand side, the hitting zone is deeper, it's wider, and it's taller. So even if you surprise them, they can still hit. A lot of players, when they stand fairly close, they get jammed when you serve the deep serve to the backhand. So what you really want to focus on doing is really focus on hitting the first bounce deep from here to there. Just practice first with a deep side spin serve. And then what should you do? Then you should jump into deep nose spin first. The next one should be deep side spin going either this direction or this direction. And then over time, add the deep backspin, the deep side spin backspin, the deep side spin top spin, and then the pure top spin serves. So why am I talking about serves when the main focus for this video is serve return? Because if you miss a serve, you have to be able to analyze why you missed. Once you are able to analyze why you missed, then you're going to be able to program your Pong robot to serve appropriately. So let's talk about how I could possibly miss. So let's say, for example, if my serve hits the net, what is the problem? Almost 100% of the time on deep serves, the reason that it hits the net is your first bounce is too far up there, and then the ball hits the net. So if your serve is hitting the net, you want to hit the ball back here further. So if you're programming your robot and your serve is hitting into the net, what do you have to be able to do? You got to be able to get it to hit closer to the end line. So instead of the trajectory being up, you got to turn that trajectory down. Check it out with the robot. Now we're going to talk about looping half-long serves. Half-long serves are defined as serves with the second bounce close to the end line. So your opponent serves maybe first bounce here and second bounce here. There's three different types of half-long serves. It's what's called half-long short, where the second bounce hits twice. Half-long exact, which means right on the edge, and then half-long out, which means just a little bit out. So we're going to be working on the half-long exact ones, the ones that are exactly half long with that second bounce right there. Now, if it's side spin, nose spin, or top spin, as long as your body is low and your hand is high, you should be able to successfully loop these over the table without getting stuck. So go ahead and get low in your ready position and show us some shadow strokes for looping over the table with backhand and forehand. Ready position, move in, and spin over the table. Good. So if it's nose spin, side spin, and top spin, the actual table is not a factor because your hand is going over the table. Now for the backspin, that's where the challenge is. So let's do some forehand loop against backspin. Get in your ready position. If you move in here and then you see that it's two bounces, let me see you push. Good. All right, ready position again. Move in here and it's out. Now let me see you loop. Yes. So for the backspin, you have to be a little bit careful because as it's dropping here, sometimes it catches the second bounce there, and you really want to start from below the ball. So on backspin, there may be some that you push, maybe some that you flip, and then maybe some that you loop. On the nose spin, side spin, and top spin, you should be able to loop 100% of those. So let's first demonstrate on what it looks like to loop the half-long side spin serves. Okay, go ahead, loop the half-long side spin, loop the half-long side spin, and keep going. Good. And now let's demonstrate choices between push and loop on the half-long backspin. Go ahead. Okay, as I mentioned earlier, on the half-long backspin, you're really letting that ball drop and you're getting under it with an open angle. On the side spin, nose spin, and top spin, you're hitting the ball a little bit earlier and you're driving over the table. Before we talk about how to serve half-long serves, I want to talk just for a second about short serves. So there's two types of short serves. There's the type of short serve that is a fast short serve that hits down, kind of closer to the end line and goes bounce, bounce, bounce. And then there's the type of short serve that's the floaty one. It's called the slow short serve, where the ball goes up here and then hits and then hits and then hits. So there's fast short serves and slow short serves. Fast short serves and slow short serves. The half-long ones are nearly always fast short serves that are a little bit longer. Now this is really fun. You can practice this at home. Just practice downward motion where the ball is hitting in this zone here and see if you can make two bounces. Now you want your second bounce, like we talked about, to be quite close to the edge. Now, if you want to be able to control it with even more detail, you should be able to do half-long short, exactly half-long, and then half-long out. This is critically important when you play matches, because if you have a guy that's not necessarily looking for the half-long, you can serve a little bit half-long out, and he'll still probably push, being a weaker push. If you're playing somebody that's somewhat good at it, then serving exact half-long. And if you're playing an expert, you might want to even serve the half-long short that goes a little bit short. But as you're able to serve half-long to different locations, you're able to create different tactical scenarios. A lot of people want to focus on how can I generate maximum spin on my serve, but they're not focused enough on how to control the depth. Now we've come to the final section where we work on serve and serve return with short serves. So there's three common ways to return short serves: short push, deep push, and flip. Now the thing with the short push is that you want to play the same timing and same backswing for both short and long. So watch how Senra comes in and plays the short push. Steps in a very compact stroke and steps back. Short push. Now he's going to do the long push, but instead of just doing a short follow through, he's going to do a much longer follow through, holding the ball much longer. Short backswing, but a long follow through. Okay, so I want you to watch him for a second, and I want you to see right at contact if you can see if he's pushing short or long. You want to really have the same approach, but then compact stroke for the short one, and then a longer stroke for the deep one. Go ahead. And the third type of serve return on how to return a short serve is flip. Flip is kind of like a mini loop over the table where you're attacking the short serve. It's different for forehand versus backhand. For forehand, he's much more open on the technique and he's waiting and then flipping forward. On backhand, his angle is going to be much more closed because he's able to generate more topspin. On both backhand and forehand, he's going to flip just after the top of the bounce. So go ahead and demonstrate some forehands first. Excellent, good. Now if his angle were closed on his forehand, the ball would go down because he's not able to generate that much spin with the forehand. That's the reason the angle has to be much more open to play forehand flip as opposed to much more closed to play backhand flip. Now we're going to talk for a second about how to serve these serves. So I mentioned earlier that there's two types of short serves. There's the fast short serve, which we demonstrated earlier, that goes down, down, down. And then there's the slow short serve that lofts up here, floats to there, and then floats, and then floats. The fast short serve, it's easier to keep it lower, but sometimes it's harder to control the depth. The short slow serve, that one goes short, but sometimes it's a little bit too bouncy. So you need to be able to practice it, but you also at the same time need to be able to learn to control the bounce. If you can control where your ball is bouncing, it's easier to develop different motions with different spins. But the foundation of learning short serves is learning to control the bounce. So I'm going to talk for a minute about my different serves, and then I'm going to set up the robot, and we're going to do some demos with the robot. If you understand clearly about your own serve, where the ball should bounce and what type of trajectory you should have, you can easily set up drills with the robot. A lot of people contact me and they want me to tell them the exact parameters for every serve. And from robot to robot, there is some variable. So the most important skill that you have to be able to do is understand how the serve works. When you understand how the serve works, then programming your robot is going to be a good experience. So short, floaty backspin serve. The short, slow backspin, I want that first bounce to hit up in here. So I'm going to get under the ball and I'm going to float it up like that in order to serve short backspin. So what would you do with the robot on that one? You would have the robot's head trajectory going up so that the ball is floating up. You would put it for a fairly heavy spin and it would be first bounce, next bounce, and next bounce. Check it out with the robot. The next one we're going to do is exactly the same thing, but no spin. So again, the trajectory is going to be fairly high, and first bounce is going to be hitting there, and then there, and then there. You want to make sure you turn the speed down quite a lot on this one, and make sure the spin obviously is set to 0. The next one that we're going to do is side spin. Now, if your short serve hits the net, what's probably the problem? Well, I mentioned on the long serve, if your long serve hits the net, it's usually because the first bounce hits up in here too much. But on the short serve, there's two scenarios that oftentimes happen. Scenario number one is that your bounce is actually too far back here, and then the ball is dropping as it hits the net. So bounce, and then it goes into the net. So this hit the net as it's falling. Scenario number two is that it's too far up there and the ball doesn't have enough time to rise. So the question to ask yourself if you miss your serve in the match is, did the ball hit the net on the rise or did the ball hit the net on the fall? If you can assess that situation, then you can easily program your robot as well. If you can't assess if your robot's serve is hitting the net on the way down or if it's hitting the net on the way up, then it's difficult to make adjustments in it. So I'm going to give you this scenario one more time, and I want you to see if you can diagnose the problem. In conclusion, you need to spend quality time each week practicing your serve and practicing your serve return. Instead of focusing on getting more spin on your serve, what you need to focus on is being able to control the location, the depth on your side. Controlling the depth will be the base or the foundation for being able to do more and more and more advanced serves. So when you have a good serve, mark it on the table. Put maybe a little piece of paper on the table as that's your location. Every person is a little bit different because of the finger pressure, because of the grip on the rubber, because of the bounce on the table. So I can't tell you exactly the topspin serve should hit here, the backspin serve should hit here, the deep serve should hit here. You need to know and learn this for yourself. Okay, so get in the habit of doing that. Serve your short topspin pendulum serve and figure out where's the best place. Exactly right there. Do your deep side spin hook serve and figure out, is it better if it hits here or here or here or here? Mark it on the table with a small piece of paper, and then to be able to learn to control your first bounce, that's the base on developing a world-class serve. Now, as far as serve return goes, you need to be able to be prepared for everything, short, medium, and long. You need to be able to see exactly where the ball is bouncing. How can you do that if you've always just played matches and haven't done it in the past? Well, that's where the Pong robot comes in. With the Pong robot, you can set up a simple drill, like short backspin serve anywhere here, and work on catching the timing. Or deep no spin serve here, and really work on accelerating your wrist. Or half long side spin serve to the middle, and really work on finding the position. So if you have any questions about how you can use your Pong robot better, make sure you drop a comment down below. Make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel, and make sure you check out our new upcoming videos. We've got a lot of exciting content this year. You're not going to want to miss it.